That it's not known. That it's not known. It's a. I can look it up and find out, but it's not. So they don't know what it is. Like it's you just saying it's undiagnosed, so they don't know. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. That it's not known. That it's not known. It's I can look it up and find out, but it's not. So they don't know what it is. That's it. That's to say it's me. That's what we want more. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, Dennis, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Good. Okay. So we're just about to start talking about calendar. Am I coming in clear or not clear?
Come in loud and clear.
Okay, it sounds like you've got a couple of different microphones on out there with the other cameras. So you should mute those.
So we're going to start talking. Okay, so
Okay, so we're going to start talking about calendars now. So in California, we're going to start talking about calendars. We just went through the 8 apps. Well, we haven't finished going through them, but for the new people, starting here, who's heard of Google Plus? Okay, Irene? Ariana? Do you know Google Plus? Are you familiar with it? Okay. Okay, so there's a lot of probably, maybe what we should have done is turn off this microphone and unmute that. Oops. Let's see. Dennis, you're going to have to unmute the microphone. All 3 of them are muted on this end. Okay, so Google Plus is sort of like Facebook, except it has a built-in communication thing called Hangouts, which is for texting, it's for telephone calls, and it's for video calls and things like this, Hangout on Air. You have circles, which is a way to keep track of all of your contacts. So you put your family in a circle, you put your coworkers in a circle, and the benefit of that is you can send separate messages to them. So if it's at work, let's say you owned a carpet cleaning company, you might have a circle for your employees. Just want to send a message to your employees. You have one circle for your employees. You could have a circle for good customers, a circle for bad customers. Yes, it sounds like somebody there is watching the broadcast on their computer.
We'll find out.
And they have a microphone on, because it sounds like you've got a delay. So the other thing you can do with Hangouts on Air is you could go to Google Plus, go to Hangouts, and you could see that this video is playing, but it's about 30 seconds behind. So I think I can hear myself 10 or 15 seconds ago, over there.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this. So Google Plus is like Facebook, but it also has contacts in it. It's a way to communicate with people, and it has communication. Drive started out as storage, like a huge hard drive in the sky. And what do you get, Phyllis? 15 gigabytes of storage? I think you get 15 gigabytes of free storage.
Yeah,
But there's a word processing thing in it, like Word. There's a spreadsheet thing in here, like Excel, all free. And there's Forms, which is something Microsoft doesn't really have, which is a database. These are not as good as the Microsoft products. They only do 90% of what you need 90% of the time. But you only need about 60% or 50% of what Microsoft Office does most of the time. 95% of the time, you only need 50%. YouTube, we all know what that is. Gmail is email. Calendar is a calendar. Chrome is what? What's Chrome? Huh? What? It's a program that does what? Okay. It's a web browser. Chrome is a web browser. It is the access to the internet. You can't do any of these without having Chrome, without a browser. Just like you can't go to a website unless you have, what's the most common browser? Can you? Yeah, Internet Explorer, made by Microsoft. Voice is a fantastic thing. We don't really get to use it much here because most of the students don't have smartphones. But it enables you to have a separate phone system. It enables you to have a separate phone system, phone number, so you never should give people out your cell phone number anymore. You give them your Google Voice number, which is his phone number, and it works. So it's like having two phone numbers. One is I have my T-Mobile number, and I have my Google Voice number on here. And my Google Voice number is a lot better. And also, I don't have to worry about somebody having my telephone, my cell phone account forever, because I can get a new Google Voice number very easily. See, they're about 20 seconds behind. Maps is like a map. We all know what a map is, but what we're going to find out is the Google version of Maps is great for businesses. Okay. Anybody have any questions about these apps so far? We're going to move on.
When they have connection problems in California, how do they ad-lib? How do they adjust to not having on air?
Dennis or Rose just teaches the class. Okay, so calendar. Today we're doing calendar. And if we look at today's event, we go to Google Plus and look at the event. What does it tell us? Everybody see this? Did you see this, Kenya?
Yeah.
Irene? Okay. Ariana? Okay. So here's kind of an interesting thing, just a little aside. Anybody notice this? Anybody notice it?
Your daughter already said it?
Well, does anybody remember Lucy, my daughter? Okay. So she's a sophomore at Coronado. And she got a letter from Stanford saying, we have this program for certain kids in high school that you can come to Stanford during the summer for 8 weeks, live in the dorms, take college classes, get college credit, but you have to be 16. And unfortunately, Lucy's only 14. And she'll be 15 this summer. But I thought this was a very good thing that Stanford does. So they're looking for people who did really good on the PSAT and very good on the state test and saying, why don't you come here for the summer, not free. Come here for 8 weeks. You live in the dorm. You're treated just like a college student, and you're taking college classes. Now, for people who don't know Lucy, she's really a nutcase, but she likes to study, and she retains information very well. Okay. Nut job. How's that better? So, okay. Here's the starting point of calendars. So now for everybody, every day before this class at 9:30, we go to Google+, we look at the event for today to get us prepared for what the lecture, what our 10 o'clock class is going to be about. If you are, in law school, they give you the reading assignments, and when you show up at class, you're supposed to know the stuff, not just kind of be aware. We do this because in the past, like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, what would happen is we'd start the calendar class, say if this was today, 2 years ago, we started, nobody would have any idea what we're doing. So at 9:30, what we want you to do is read this first, then watch the video so you have an idea of what we're going to be talking about. If you have extra time during the day, like at 3 to 3:30, you should go back and review this because you will forget. And the difference between good students and not good students is good students remember more. So anybody who knows Lucy, my daughter Lucy, will get, she just remembers a lot of stuff. She's kind of kooky, but she has a good memory. And that translates, and when you take a test, you remember stuff. What you find here is when it comes to Fridays, you're not going to do well because you don't what? You don't remember. So the simple thing to do is focus on memory. And what you need to do is act like a sponge and tell your brain this is important. Just by telling your brain this is important, what do you think happens with your connectome? What would you think from today? What would you think? Kenya, what would you think?
Some lights ago, like I need to remember this.
Yeah, so this is one branch, and here's another branch, and this is the synapse, right? The first time you hear it, it only makes sense because your brain works. You know, we're going to see TED Talks where people are in a coma. Doesn't matter what you say to them, nothing's happening in their brain. Their connectome isn't working. So the first time you do it, all of this information comes in. You walk outside and you feel it's cold, bam, in your brain, your connectome is all of this stuff happening, but we don't remember it. We don't care to remember it. Well, when you review it, what happens every time you review it, you keep repeating this pattern. And that pattern gets stronger and faster and better. So like if you want to memorize poetry, you say it over and over and over and over again. What are you doing? You're just repeating this cycle, this pathway, this neural activity. You're repeating, and that makes it stronger and better. So at 9:30, read this, watch the video, pay attention, take notes in class, because if you don't take notes, you have nothing to review. Right? So if you're going to forget 70% of this tomorrow, and you want to remember it, if you didn't take notes, how are you going to remember? Can you? Yeah, but you're going to forget 70% of it. So that means you now have to keep repeating it to yourself. It's easier just to write it down. And when you write it down, you're seeing it as you write it. You're seeing it in your brain before you write it. Your hands are doing it. You hear yourself say it as you're writing. You're making a lot of copies in your brain, just taking notes. Now, the other thing that we do is we videotape this. So you can go to YouTube and you can watch this exact video anytime. So what I'm saying to everybody, and especially our new people, is this: review what we do today if you want to remember it. And this Google Cloud is the most important thing you're ever going to do. This is the way the world is going. So you can decide to be, so there's 3 fundamental types of people. Dave, do you remember what they are?
3 fundamental types of people.
Yeah, people who make things happen.
Make things happen.
So this would go in your important thoughts part of your book. What's the second type of person? Phyllis just said it.
Watch.
Watch things happen. Okay, so if you remember this stuff and you can apply it and you get a job because you talk about it, that means you have the ability to make things happen. The second type of person is somebody who watches things happen. And they go along with the flow. Somebody says, do this, and it's okay, or it's no, or show me again, or I got it, or whatever. But they're just participating in somebody else's mood. And the third type of person is somebody who what? What? People who wonder what happened. Okay, that's the third type of person. People who wonder what happened. What's going on? I don't know. What's going on? The cloud enables us to be in the first group, knowing the cloud. All businesses are moving to the cloud. One day, you're going to be in an environment where you're going to say, God, I wish I knew that, or God, I'm glad I do know that. Everybody's going to be in that position. When self-driving cars come out, you're either going to be somebody who takes advantage of it, or then has to learn it, or says, I just don't get this. How can a car drive itself? I don't get it. And what's the advantage of it? You know, if you get what's going to happen with self-driving cars, what you want to be thinking about today is different apps that you can use and go out and sell to people to sign up for your app for when self-driving cars come out. Because when self-driving cars come out, are you going to need to take them to the gas station? Why not? Huh? They what? Yeah, you just tell your car, hey, go, oh, you're out of gas, go fill up. Oh, you need a car wash? Go get washed. I'm sitting here in class right now. I don't have time to go to the gas station. Within 20 years, what we do today is going to be gone. Half of the jobs that are going to exist 20 years from now don't exist today. When a car goes to a gas station and it pulls up to the pump, now what? How does it get gas in? Well, that would be one way, that there's a robotic arm. Probably, that's probably what will be happening in 20 years from now. The cars will have, not cars, but gas pumps will have a robotic arm, and they'll just open your gas cap, turn it in there, plug it in, and fill it up. But before that, there's probably going to be some guy who your car pulls up, and the guy has to open the thing and take the hose and plug it in, and everything else will be automated. Are you going to have to go to the grocery store when you have a self-driving car? You are? Why? The car can't, but there would be an app, right? If the car shows up, your order is already placed at the store, and it's placed because when you go home, everything has a barcode on it, and you put it in your refrigerator, it has a little scanner, or you put it in your cabinet, or you just have a little thing, I don't remember what they're called, but Amazon sells them right now. It's just a little barcode reader, and it keeps track of what you buy. So you go to the store, you get your shopping bags, you take them out, you run it in front of this thing, it knows what it is, And then you want to go grocery shopping. It says, oh, you're out of this, you're out of that, you're out of all of this stuff. Is there anything else you want? That gets sent to the store. Your card pulls up. What does somebody do?
Put it in.
Yeah, somebody's just going to put it in your card. Life is going to get very different 20, 30 years from now. And it's because of the cloud. So if we learn how to use the cloud, we have an advantage over everybody else because everybody else is going to be wondering what happened. They're going to be saying, God, I remember when I used to have to go to the store. Anybody buy anything on the internet? Is there anybody here who hasn't bought anything off the internet? I remember back in the middle 90s, before people bought anything on the internet, when Amazon was just starting. In fact, when Amazon was just starting, they decided they were going to spend $127 to create a customer. Every customer was going to cost them $127. And all of the smart people said, well, wait a second. The average customer only buys $150 worth of books a year. And let's say the cost of books is 50%. So what would that be? How much is that? What's 50%? 75. Okay, so that leaves how much? 75. So Amazon's gross profit is $75. And they said, well, we're going to spend $127. We're going to spend $127 to get somebody to spend $150 so we can have $75 gross profit to pay all of our bills. What do you think all the Harvard MBAs said? Does that look like a good business thing? Lose $48 on every customer? Why did Amazon do it? Because doesn't this look stupid? You're going to spend $127 to bring in $75. And after paying your bills out of the $75, there might be like $30. So that means if we have 30, that means they're going to lose $78 per person. Why would you do that? Okay. So Google said, no, we have to do this. We have to spend $127 because this guy is really going to tell about 10 people how good it was. And we're not spending $127 for each one of those other people. This guy's going to do it. And yeah, we might never make money selling books, but once we get somebody as a customer, then we can sell them other things. And for about 15 years, Amazon didn't make any money. I don't even know if they're making any money now, but they're growing like crazy and doing all kinds of stuff. That whole business, Amazon, was created on the cloud. This whole business is created on the cloud. It didn't exist 20 years ago. And when they started out, all of the smart people said, this will never work. You're not going to be able to raise enough money to lose $48 per person. You're talking about, $500 million is what it's going to cost. You're going to lose $500 million before you start generating more money than it costs you. So the cloud is important. You have to remember it. Now, calendar. So if we go back to today's event, the listing of what today's event was, it starts with this quote from Shakespeare. There is a tide to the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? There's a tide to the affairs of men. Okay, so what is a tide? What's the tide? Jesus, you have that look on your face. Okay, what does tide have to do with it? Okay, what's the tide? Tide has to do with what? The ocean, right. And in the ocean, there's basically two primary points, right? What are they? Jesus, with the tide. High tide and what? And low tide. High tide and low tide. So this is talking, is giving a comparing life to the ocean. There's a tide to the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. So imagine you're out there body surfing, and it's high tide. What do the waves look like? Big, right? And what are they going to do if you hit them right? Take you a long ways, right? You're going to go a long ways. What if you're out there, what's it like when it's low tide? Small. What happens if you catch the wave and it's really small? How far are you going to go? You're not going to go anywhere. So, taking it, the flood leads on to fortune. So if you take advantage of the opportunities, they lead on to really big things. If you wait, because it's saying there's a tide to the affairs of men. It's high tide and then it's low tide. Everybody has high points and low points. If you are at a high point, you need to take it, because the low point is coming. If you take the tide when it's high, good things will happen. Make a lot of money, save a lot of money, have stuff. If you wait, now you're scrambling and you're struggling to do things. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. And this tide isn't like every day there's a high tide and a low tide. You know, people could have a life that is mostly bad, but you have one shot. If you're used to not doing things and the tide comes in and you don't take it, it goes back to the way it was and life is not good. So he's saying in here, on such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. So this is when they're talking about should we fight or not fight. He's saying we have the advantage. We need to fight, because if we don't fight now, it's not going to be good. Okay, so that has to do with learning these apps. That's how important they are. And we just talked about a couple apps that are going to change just from one thing. Self-driving cars are going to change stuff that we do. We're not going to go to the gas station. We're not going to have to go to the dry cleaner anymore. There's a lot of things we're not going to have to do. We'll just send our car to do. And other things are going to happen too. Okay, you're not using your car right now. Can your car be used to take elderly people to the doctor's office? We'll pay you $15 a month or whatever. Sign up here. Do you think people will sign up? Yeah. If your car is not being used, we want to use it to deliver stuff. We're going to pay you $25 a day. How many days do you want us to use your car? 10? Okay, we'll give you $250 a month if we can use your car. Kind of like Uber, but you don't have a driver. You just sign up for the service and your car just disappears. You don't need it today. How about, can we use your car for our taxi service? You're in school right now. Do you really care if your car is being used while you're in school? You just want the car to be back here at 3:30, right? When you need to leave. That's what the future is going to be like. And it's going to happen very fast. It's going to happen as fast as smartphones came out. Does anybody remember before smartphones? Anybody have a phone in here before that? That was kind of was that, I guess. You only had a smartphone? The only phone you've ever had is a smartphone? Okay. So everybody had a pre-smartphone, right?
Yeah.
What they now call a Fred Flintstone phone. So everybody had one of those. How many years did it take before everybody switched to smartphones. Yeah, maybe for everybody, but like in 2 years, half of the people were already converted to a smartphone.
Blackberries,
And then there were BlackBerry wiped out,
that's right.
okay? Before that, though, really popular for business people because you could send text messages
Right.
and stuff. But now they're basically gone.
Yeah.
So the same thing is going to happen when self-driving cars come out. And you can get a kit for $2,500 installed on your car. So that's a job for people, installing, turning a car into a smart car. And by spending $2,500 to upgrade your car, now you get to drive in the smart car lane, which means some streets you get to drive down and they're just, boom, downtown, it's going 50 miles an hour, takes you no time to get anywhere. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting with everyone else in traffic. So people are going to start converting their old cars, and all new cars are going to have it. And once that happens, it's a whole new world. Everything is going to change.
Are we still watching the video about smart cars?
That might have gotten bumped out, or that could be an afternoon one. So, okay, so it's break time. So what we're going to focus on tomorrow is creating our calendars. So Google has an app that's equally amazing that has to do with calendars to collaborate with other people. Okay, Dennis?
Yes.
Okay, now, oh, I guess my screen was. Okay, so we're done for the day, but is there something I need to do so that you guys can have access tomorrow?
No, just send that invite to LTC instructor. We go on that.
Okay. No idea what it said, but.
LTC instructor.
Okay. So you don't get that early in the morning or at night? Okay, everyone, break time.
No, I haven't.
Huh. Okay. Well, maybe.
Yeah, we used to get that. We don't get it anymore.
Okay. Now, when I send it to you directly, do you get it?
I get it on my phone, yes. But my computer, no.
Okay.
So LTC instructor is what I usually go in. So I'm going to send it to LTC instructor. It'll be okay.
Okay. Will do. Thanks.
You're welcome.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, it's break time.